G'day everyone, Prep Aussie here. I hope you're all well in whatever part of the world you're watching this video. Today is Saturday the 23rd of February 2019 and the time here is 0940 Australian Eastern Standard Time. Well folks, I promised you yesterday that I would do a financial synopsis, for want of a better word. And I'm going to do that today. So the way I'm going to do it is so that you can actually, if you have relatives who kind of borderline know something's wrong but not really sure, then you can show them this video today so that they can actually understand just how dire the whole situation is. Okay, so let's do that now. First off, let's get sponsors out of the way. These guys are my sponsor, Totally Rawsome, who make the golden activated turmeric paste. And as I've told you guys before, and as you guys are aware, if you've actually bought some of this stuff, it is bloody fantastic. Honestly, it has helped me out no end. I'm actually going to talk to the guys today, actually, because my dog's got they've got stuff that you can give your dogs, and my dog's got a hip problem. He had an operation on his hip, so I'm going to get them to see if they can help me out with that. This is where they're at. Jam Powers Farmers Markets in Brisbane, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Palm Beach today, 6 a.m. to 11:30 at the PBC High School, and Bundle Farmers Market, Arts Centre, and there's your address there, Bundle Road, every Sunday, 6 a.m. to 11:30. Like I said, folks, this stuff is miracle stuff. Like it literally, I've tried them all, none of the others work. This stuff really does work. If you don't believe me, try it. If you've got joint pain, any type of joint pain, you know, you just want to start feeling better, get this stuff. Okay, right, now, financials. As I've said all along, it's interesting, I had a conversation with Stroppy Me the other night and we were talking along this same vein. There will be wars eventually. You know, I'm not trying to make it a big mystery or anything. There will be wars. Who with? I don't know, but China's already positioning, look, China's positioning himself as a position of superiority in the South Pacific region. If you haven't guessed that, then you're not in the picture. They've used the weakness of the American government as regards to the South Pacific, because the American government just sort of sat back and went, we don't have to worry about it too much. Well, China's slipped in there and started running the show in the South Pacific. America's now realised their mistake under Trump and is starting to show more power in that region. Now, if you go through history and you know anything about economics, depressions, wars always follow depressions. It's a mathematical fact. Hopefully, this time we don't. Because what's going to change this time is that we will have a depression. There's no two ways about it. Now, if you watch Greg Hunter's weekly news wrap-up today, in that video, he clearly shows you that we are only a few degrees off the yield curve, and I mean literally this much, between the Lehman Brothers, the line and the Lehman Brothers crash to today. They're just about identical. Now, you're probably sitting there going, well, hang on a minute, the US is booming and everyone, you know, the world seems to be going okay. Well, we've gorged out, everything that you're looking at is a manufactured house of mirrors because it's been manufactured to go that way because of printed money. So basically everything's just running on debt. There is no income. It's just debt. So get your head around that. So everything that you can see happening at the moment, stock market, gold, everything, is just running on debt. Now, the big difference between, say, the 1920s crash and now is that it will still be the same. And I'm going to show you a chart that shows you exactly that. It will be the same. But the big difference is that this time there will be a US reserve dollar currency reset. And just in case any of you, and I mean any of you, are deluded about the fact that, oh, well, if the US dollar crashes, then, you know, we'll be okay. Well, when the US dollar does crash and is reset, all these other currencies, regardless if they've got 10 million tons of gold behind them or whatever, will go to that. Zip. Now, don't forget, China, Russia, not so much Russia, China. China is in exactly the same situation as the US financially, probably even worse. So you can have 10 billion tons of gold sitting over there, but it ain't worth shit if you can't trade with anything else. You know, you're going to need currency to trade with, and what are you going to trade with if the renminbi or the yuan is worth shit? You can have as much gold as you want, but if you can't trade it with anyone, what's the point? And that is the point, right? And that's why the Americans are doing what they're doing. They're going to drive it. They're going to make sure that they're the last man standing as regards to currency. That's why they put their money up, their interest rates up. Everyone else is at zip. So when this does reset, the Americans are just going to go, okay, today or yesterday, we had US reserve currency status for the American dollar, which is this one. Whoops, sorry, that one. Tomorrow, we're going to make USA currency number 2 the reserve currency. Can you imagine what's going to happen? Doesn't matter a shit if you've got 10 ton of gold with you. Automatically, everything you owned in US dollars is gone. Fades into the wind. Remembering that it is just a computer algorithm that you're holding. The money doesn't exist. So when this reset happens, China, everyone else is going to be up to shit shoot. Regardless of how much gold they got, it doesn't matter. Gold won't come into play for a couple of years maybe after. Because who are you going to trade it with? And what are you going to trade it with? You're going to say, okay, well, I want an ounce of gold for 10 loaves of bread? You see the reality here. The reality is you can have as much gold as you want, but if there's nothing to trade with it, then it's worth shit. Now, China's going to turn around and say, oh, we've got 10 billion tons of gold, so we're the number one gold people. We're going to set the gold standard. Now, when that happens, that's when all this goes to shit, and that's when there's all going to be wars and everything. Because the US is obviously going to go, well, nah, you ain't. Sorry, guys, you think you will, but you ain't. It ain't going to happen. This is the gold standard because we're setting the gold standard price because we have the US dollar reserve currency status, which is, I think it's 40 or, is it 40 or 60% of the world currencies. Think about that. Even if it's 40%. China's got 2%, I think. 12%, I think it's they came in at 10%, didn't they, or something like that. So they've got fuck all. Excuse the French. So just get your head around the fact that the Americans, regardless of if there's a recession or a depression or a reset, America is going to hold the cards for everything. Which of course is what China and Russia are actually trying to reverse, but they can't. No matter what they try and do, they will not be able to reverse it. The only thing they can do is drag America into prolonged wars, which were the South China Sea. China, if if you actually go on Google and click in Chinese military bases around the world, do you have a look at how many Chinese military bases they've built in the last 5 years around the world? They even built one in Somalia. It's not going to do them shit because they ain't going to be able to do anything with them. But, they've got one. Let's get this, correct this a little bit. They've got one battleship, one destroyer, aircraft carrier. How many has the Americans got? 20? Got a fleet of them. Plus their subs and everything else. So look, it's just nonsense. Right. Let me stop there. I'm getting off track. So let's go to the financials. And with these financials, you'll be able to show your family exactly where this is all going, okay? Okay. This is the Australian debt clock today. Now, I'm going to scroll over things. This is how much. This is representative of aggregate credit outstanding in both the private, which is the household and business sector, and the public government sector of the Australian economy, including debts outside of the banking system. So, we're up to 700 billion 116 billion 862 million 950 and whatever. Now, look down here, because this is everybody's debt in Australia. Every single person, man, woman, and child. This one here, this is the most important one. Representative of total Australian Commonwealth, state, and local government debt outstanding. I'll read that again so you understand. Representative of total Australian Commonwealth, which is state and local government debt outstanding. Right, so every government in Australia, whether it's your local government, etc., is now in debt to the tune of 852 billion, 738 million, 950,000, and blah, blah, blah. So let me say that again. That's 852 billion. Now, if you counted every man, woman, and child in Australia, and you divide it by, I don't know, how many years in Australia? 25? I think it comes out to about $50,000 each that each Australian would have to pay today out of your own pocket. 50 grand. Right, so if you take the kids out of it, you take, just take the kids out of it. That doubles your income. So that's going to double. So you're up for 100 grand today that you have to pay if we want to reduce that debt. That's every single Australian. Let that sink in. Obviously, you can't pay it and I can't pay it. A few people could pay it. Right, the debt is so high now that there is no possible way we can repay that debt. No possible way. Now remember, during the week, last week, and they've been telegraphing this, if you have not actually woken up and smelt the coffee, they've been telegraphing for the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, that the Australian Reserve Bank of Australia, is going to lower the main interest rate because the money has dried up. There is no money, folks. To keep the economy going, they're going to have to drive the interest rate, the main interest rate, down to zero. The interest rate at the moment, if you look here, target cash rate, 1.5%. That one there. The target interest rate for the overnight money market. Well, can I just tell you guys, it doesn't matter. Sorry about that. It doesn't matter what they set it at because the actual market, the world market, is setting the price. If you walked into Westpac or Commonwealth Bank today and said, well, I want the interest rate at 1.5%, they'd laugh at you. I say, buddy, you're only going to get 4%, you're 5%. The interest rate this is the problem. The interest rate in the governments is going down. The interest rate in the open market is going up because the interbank lending rate is going up because they have to make money. They have to make profit. So we're screwed. This is all going to fall apart soon because the RBA is going to drop the interest rate by 25%. So it'll go down to 1.25. But on the very same day, if not the day after, Westpac, Commonwealth Bank, etc. are going to actually put their rates up. So you've got them going like that. Different end of the spectrum. Okay, people have laughed at me before when I've said this, and it's been proven right. There's jack shit you and I can do about it. So, let's go to the American debt. $22 trillion. So look over to the top left-hand corner. $22 trillion. And that's the next one's billions. So that's 31 billion. 304 million. Is that right? I can't even get it right. That's how big it is. Right. There's no way on God's earth or any other fucking planetary system that you guys know of that's going to pay off that debt. I've said before, you can put every single billionaire you know and their companies together and you would just go past 1 trillion, maybe. Think about that. So if you've got every billionaire in the world to put all their money together to try and pay off the debt, and they've sold their companies as well, you'd probably maybe just get $1 trillion. Scary shit, eh? So who's paying the other 21 trillion? Now, this is where it gets even worse. If you allow government bullshit that we all listen to, then the Australian debt would be at least over $1 trillion because of their lying scumbag shit that they pull. And the Americans is now verified at $43 trillion. That they know of. Go on Greg Hunter, if you don't believe me, go on Greg Hunter and look up Catherine Austin Fitts interview with Mark Skidmore. Catherine Austin Fitts and Mark Skidmore interview on USA Watchdog. It's all laid out. Now, here's the interesting thing. If you're American, you should be outraged. Because they brought that out, they tried to destroy that woman. They wrecked her business. They did everything to her. They've actually now had to change. They have now changed the whole spectrum of an American citizen trying to find this out. You should be able to go and find anything about the books of American government, but they've now changed it in the last couple of months since this has come out, and they've actually now classified all this stuff as state secrets. So no one can find out. So right there, you're being told that this is actually the truth. This is, stand up truth. So before anything else happens in this world, China might be stupid enough to try and bring this forward and try and get a war going before the financial collapse, because China's going to go into some deep, deep shit when this financial collapse comes, because they're a communist country whose people are fed by the government. So when this all goes to shit and they've got no money, there's going to be a massive rebellion in China first. That's if the Chinese don't start a war first. Do you understand why the Chinese need to start a war now? Because if they don't, then their country is going to be in absolute upheaval. If you're Chinese and you're watching this, don't fall for their shit. Don't fall for their nationalist rhetoric. They're actually trying to start a war because they don't want you guys to stand up on your own 2 feet and pull them down. So, where do we go to from here? I want to show you a chart. I don't know if it's right or it's wrong, but I found plenty of them, by the way. I'll show it to you. In the 1929's crash, the chart went. So let me show you what it looks like compared to today. And there it is. Do you see any similarities? Sorry folks, there you go, that made it bigger. Right. This chart's a little bit old, but you get the picture. In actual fact, the actual blue line is actually a lot worse than that now. Okay, here's another one. The blue line is today. Now, you obviously see that that's in 2013. I can't find anything that's got anything more relevant than today. You know, there will be some around here and there, I guess. But I would probably believe that, you know, they're being pretty hush-hush about it. But look at the comparison. It's actually very, very scary, folks. They are exactly the same. No different. If you've got stocks, watch AMTV every now and again, Christopher Green. He's been warning people for months now, take your money out of the stock market. It's going to crash. This is how ridiculous things have gotten. If you watch the Greg Hunter weekly news wrap-up today, he actually gives you a chart that's about the Illinois pension funds and how they're going to raise money. You know how they're going to pay? They've actually come up with this scheme to actually, they're $152 billion short. You know how they're going to try and make that money back? Print more money. I.e. print more debt. So they're going to make $152 billion out of thin air to fill up the pension fund in Illinois. Now, when you think about the Mark Skidmore, Catherine Austin Fitts stuff, it's only become apparent. Everyone was trying to figure out how did this money come about? Where did they get it from? Well, very simply, folks, they got it from nowhere. It's an algorithm. It's a print. It's a digital thing on a computer screen. And all they've done, very simply, is just put a decimal point somewhere else. So as we're trying to figure out how they got the money from 2008, 2009 crash to now, is they just simply printed it out of fresh air. It never existed. So they've given money to people that doesn't exist. They've propped up countries with money that doesn't exist. They've bought and paid for things with money that doesn't exist. They've just created double the amount of debt to keep the system going. So where's that leave us? Well, if you're stupid enough, up shit creek without a paddle. One of the big things that everybody says to me is, oh yeah, what's going to happen with my mortgage and everything, blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah, and quite rightly, you should be worried. But here's the difference between 1929 and now. Everything, and I mean every single business you can think about, because just remember, I just told you they've printed $22 trillion out of thin air to keep it going, to keep everything going. And now that they found out about it, they've changed the system so we can't find out about it. So Catherine Austin Fitts and Dr. Mark Skidmore need to win the Nobel Peace Prize, really, for what they did to tell everybody. So, as I said, so what happens now? What happens in, I don't know, you could wake up Monday morning and the reset's on. Do you think, have a think about the Commonwealth Bank and Westpac, Commonwealth Bank especially. Commonwealth Bank has 75% of its income in mortgages, whether it's business or household. 75%. Westpac has similar but not as high. Now, don't forget, they still have to pay their debt that they've got to the outside world. So what happens when this all resets? Well, what happens is Westpac, Commonwealth Bank, ANZ and NAB. NAB, by the way, is actually now physically broke because of the stupidity they did in the UK, etc. They just go poof. Now, if you go into your bank and you said to your bank, I want my mortgage certificate, the bank will flat out refuse to give you one. They'll give you a printout that shows you're paying your mortgage to the Commonwealth Bank, but if you actually ask them, which they actually have to do by law, by the way, folks, if you ask them to produce your mortgage certificate, they will not give you one. And I've done it 3 times now and they still haven't given me one. And I've actually had people comment to me and say the same thing to me. Went into the bank, tried to get it, they said no. They gave me a printout of what I'm doing at the moment. The reason is because the Commonwealth Bank, if you got a mortgage through the Commonwealth Bank, they don't owe your mortgage. If you went into the Commonwealth Bank and said, I want to know who is actually holding my mortgage. I want to know the company's name that's holding my mortgage. They sell your debt to that person. That person buys your debt. So when this all goes and there's no banks, no nothing anymore, etc., do you seriously think that they are going to kick out, I don't know, everyone lives in a house, 23 million people? Because that's how bad this is going to get. Just think about what I just said. So when everything goes poof and Westpac, Commonwealth, etc. don't exist anymore, okay, let's just say one of them does exist. What are they going to do? Are they going to turn around and go, every single one of you has to pay your mortgage off today? Yeah, right, mate. That's going to happen. Not. The debt holder. Remember, people are going to be outraged, right? So can you imagine some numpty nuts, there will be a numpty nuts out there somewhere, who's holding your debt from your mortgage through the Commonwealth Bank or Westpac, and then he's going to come knocking on your door. I'm your debt holder. Pay me my money. Like, we know what's going on here. Imagine if he knocked on the door of someone who had no idea what was going on. Mate, sorry. Tap on the shoulder, turn you around, kick you in the arse, and you're out the door. Thanks very much. I don't know who you are, but piss off. And then the legal court cases start. And then this whole pack of cards, corruption, everything is going to come out. And people are going to say, well, what the fuck has been going on here? And that's when the mass riots are going to start. Because people are going to realise that all they've been doing for the last 50 years is a lie. A big, fat lie. So, what I would say to you is, don't worry about whatever you're doing. But, go to your bank, get as much information as you can as regards to your mortgage. Keep that paperwork safe. Put it in go and buy a bloody, we've bought one, a non-burnable, it's pretty well, you could drop it out of a plane at 30,000 feet and it's still secure. That's what you have to do. Make sure you keep all of your mortgage information, Because the only way you're going to get out of this in the future, when this all goes to court, etc., is to say to the judge, I was paying my mortgage through Commonwealth Bank. That's all I know. Here's my paperwork. If you're stupid enough to not have any paperwork, then you are going to get right royally screwed by the debt holder, whoever that happens to be. Because the Commonwealth Bank may not exist anymore. So the person who's going to take you to court over your debt is the debt holder, who's got to prove that you were paying your debt to him somehow through the Commonwealth Bank. Think I'm joking? Look it up. Go and do your own. Don't believe me. Please don't believe me. Do your own investigative stuff yourself. The first thing is to go into your bank and ask for your mortgage certificate. Every bank used to give you a mortgage certificate to say you were paying your mortgage. They don't do that anymore because they sell your debt. That's how screwed up this whole system is now. Right. And if any of you out there think that, oh, the government's going to come to help us and, you know, with this $200,000 limit, etc., on your bank, then you are, without a doubt, a dill. An absolute 100% dill. The government is not going to help you. The banks are going to disappear. So where's the $200,000 going to come from? I already showed you that our debt is nearly $1 trillion. There's only 25 million of us to pay for it. So where's the money coming from? Ask yourself that. It's not coming from anywhere, folks, because it doesn't exist. There is no money. It's all gone. And sadly, you need to wake up to the fact that it is all gone if you haven't woken up to that fact. The biggest thing you need to worry about is your credit card debt, because that is what's going to kill everybody, because you can't get away from it. That's why people are going to lose their houses, etc., because of credit card debt. Because credit card debt is going to be so massive if they reset it tomorrow. So, look, and people have said this to me in comments, okay? The only way this is going to work is to have a big reset. So you wake up tomorrow, all the debt from the other thing is finished and gone. That includes credit card debt. It would be, and it's going to be, a very big ballsy move by Trump to do that. But that's what needs to happen. There needs to be a debt jubilee. The debt has become so big and encompasses so much that they need to just say, okay, everyone, and I mean everyone, that includes householders, the whole lot. As of tomorrow, no one's in debt. That doesn't mean go and spend on your credit cards because you think I told you that. If you do, you're an idiot. Because what's going to happen then is the credit card companies and some other people are going to get together and they're going to file a lawsuit in the US to say you can't do that to us. So just understand what I just said. So someone's going to come up and go, all the debt is gone. Debt jubilee. It's all gone. We can't do this any longer. The companies that have that debt are going to take the US government to court to try and keep that debt. Can you imagine what's going to happen when that happens? And they don't care about you, me, or anyone else, folks. Don't even think that for a start. But the only way that we can actually give our kids a future, any type of future, is to just have a debt jubilee. And it's becoming more and more apparent every single day. Don't believe me? Look around. So, what are you going to do about it? Well, here's what you should be doing about it. You should make sure you've got at least, as a minimum, 3 months' food. You should, at a minimum, have a backpack, etc., for a bug-out bag if you need it. You should, as a minimum, have a vegetable garden started now. That's what you should have it as a minimum. If you can afford to get a water tank, get a water tank. You can get them on Gumtree for $400. Put it in, get some water at your house. Because when this does go, don't forget the guy who gets up every morning, the people, can't say guy anymore, can you? The people that get up every morning and go to work at the electricity companies, the gas companies, etc. When this does go, their jobs aren't going to exist anymore, and their money's not going to exist anymore. So you'll be relying on the goodwill of people to get up and get to work, to keep your electricity going. How much goodwill is there in everybody at the moment, folks? You know, you might get 2 blokes out of 100 to get up and, I better do this for the country. The rest are just going to go, I ain't going in, I'm getting paid for that. What am I doing that for? So, I think I've hit the nail on the head for you guys, so you can show your relatives. And there, I'll leave it there. I'll say the prayers. But that is your debt if you're Australian. Pretty scary, huh? Okay, folks, prayer of the day, or verse of the day. And before I say this, thanks to everyone in regards to, I had a lot of people like me say they're not religious, but they really appreciate the prayer at the end, because it gives them some form of hope that everything in this world is not shit. Okay, verse of the day. There is no fear in love, but perfect love drives out fear, because fear has to do with punishment. The one who fears is not made perfect in love. Excellent verse. And as always, folks, we'll finish with the Lord's Prayer. Please note, under the heading it says, The Lord's Prayer, King James Version. If you do not understand what that means, look it up. Stop telling me I'm reading the wrong prayer. Catch up. Okay, the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power and the glory for ever and ever. Amen. Alright folks, I've rabbited on long enough. I hope that was helpful. I hope, please show it to as many of your friends and relatives as you can, to try and get them, thinking about this shit. More and more people are waking up. Okay? Alright folks, God bless, prep out.